Coming up now in your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown, Chase Owens had some interesting updates regarding the status of Bullet Club. Also, Bullet Club appeared in an in-ring segment for Impact Wrestling this week, and we've got news from elsewhere around the wrestling world. Subscribe to Spoiler-Free Wrestling for all your wrestling news. There were further developments with the Bullet Club angle on Wednesday and Thursday on the New Japan Cup Tour in Japan, and also on Impact Wrestling on Thursday evening. On Thursday on the New Japan Cup Tour, Chase Owens joined Kevin Kelly on the broadcast team and answered some questions regarding what is going on with Bullet Club. Owens avoided answering many questions directly, but did say that other members of Bullet Club are siding with Jay White. It was even noted that Bad Luck Fale has told Gato that he is with Jay White. I'm not sure if we should put too much stock in what Owens said, however, as he also said he didn't speak with members of the House of Torture, and also didn't speak with either El Phantasmo or Taiji Ishimori. He actually said it was pretty difficult to speak with the junior heavyweights because they move around so fast. This doesn't mean that there aren't Bullet Club members willing to turn on Jay White. It just means that they aren't going on record as doing so just yet. Another thing that Owens mentioned that is worth noting is that he said he will follow whatever Bad Luck Fale decides to do. He also said that Tama Tonga is likely to blame for what Jay White did, as anytime there has been conflict within Bullet Club, Tama Tonga is usually at the center of it. He referenced Tama's rivalry with Kenny Omega, then the conflict between Tama Tonga and Evil, and most recently, the conflict between Tama Tonga and Jay White. And of course, Tama Tonga and Evil will meet in the New Japan Cup on Sunday. Speaking of the New Japan Cup, Bullet Club didn't have a great showing in the tournament on Wednesday or Thursday. Let's run down the results from those shows. Starting off on Wednesday in the New Japan Cup Tour, Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens defeated the team of Tiger Mask and Hiroshi Tanahashi. But what was more important here is that they got in a little bit of extracurricular beating on their future New Japan Cup opponents. Now, in this match, Bad Luck Fale gave a basement dropkick to Tanahashi's knee that sent the ace outside the ring, and he wouldn't return to the match. Well, he did get up on the ring apron, but Fale knocked him off shortly after. But Tanahashi was clutching his knee down at ringside as Owens and Bad Luck Fale used the numbers advantage to then beat Tiger Mask. Owens then continued the assault on Tiger Mask after the match, and Bad Luck Fale just looked down on Tanahashi, who would later have to be helped to the back. And so that was pretty big, considering that Tanahashi and Fale would meet in the main event of Thursday's show. Also, Sho and Gato teamed up to take on Bushi and Naito on the second night as well, and they were able to pick up the victory when Sho made Bushi tap. And this was mainly due to Gato bringing out a pair of brass knuckles. He hit Naito with the knuckles on the outside and then inside on Bushi as well. And of course, this was setting up Gato and Naito's match, which would take place on Thursday. Now, before the match, Gato and Sho went to give each other the two sweet hand signals. Sho went to go down low with it, while Gato went to give it up high. And eventually, Sho did give Gato the two sweet hand signal up high, as Jay White has suggested it should be done moving forward. The House of Torture also took on the United Empire in the third match of the show. So this was interesting, as we got the House of Torture's Takahashi and Evil teaming up with Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo. Of course, Ishimori and Phantasmo have had numerous problems in recent weeks, and Will Ospreay sort of goaded the two on before the match, causing a little bit of dissension between Ishimori and Phantasmo even before the match began. However, it would be Bullet Club picking up the victory here, and Ishimori and Phantasmo actually seemed to get along fine during and after the match. It was just before when Will Ospreay was stirring up the pot a little bit. Then we go to the actual tournament itself, and Hiroki Goto defeated Bullet Club's Dick Togo. So Goto advances to the second round, and that was it for Bullet Club on the Wednesday. Other tournament matches that took place on Wednesday included Shima defeating Kanemaru and Okada defeating Master Wato in the main event. Then we went to Thursday's show, and this is where Bullet Club ran into some problems in the actual New Japan Cup tournament. And we saw Naito defeated Gato. I think pretty much most people had Naito coming out of that match the victor. But then we went to the main event, and it did seem as though Bad Luck Fale had a chance up against Tanahashi, who was going into the match with an injured knee. However, it would be Tanahashi pulling out the victory over Bad Luck Fale. Things were looking good for Fale, as Tanahashi had missed a high fly flow off the top rope and began clutching his injured knee. However, when Fale went to take advantage, Tanahashi cradled him and got the 3 count to advance to the next round. So now that means Tanahashi holds a 7-4 advantage in the all-time head-to-head stats between him and Fale in singles matches. Fale and Gato both out from the New Japan Cup. Things really get going in the New Japan Cup tournament starting Saturday. They'll have 4 straight shows. We will go over the lineup for some of those. So on Saturday, we will see Gato team up with Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale to take on Yo, Tiger Mask, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. We'll also see the House of Torture, Takahashi, Dick Togo, and Evil take on Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto, and Okada. Then we go to the actual tournament itself. Zack Sabre Jr. will take on Dookie. Great-O-Khan versus Taiji Ishimori. So that should be an interesting match there. A very interesting match is Will Ospreay will take on El Phantasmo. Those two have quite the history. And Sonata will take on Aaron Hanare. Then on Sunday, this is a very important show. On Sunday, it features the Gorillas of Destiny returning to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Well, in Japan. Also in the third match of the evening, Gato, Taiji Ishimori, Bad Luck Fale, and El Phantasmo will go up against the United Empire. And of course, that is 1 day removed from Okan taking on Ishimori and Ospreay taking on Phantasmo. In the actual tournament, we'll see Tiger Mask take on Chase Owens on Sunday. Shingo Takagi will take on Tangaloa, and Tama Tonga will take on Evil. Then in the night's main event, Hiromu Takahashi will take on Minoru Suzuki. Jay White, Chris Bay, Carl Anderson, and Doc Gallows also cut a promo on Impact Wrestling this week that actually led to a confrontation with the members of the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Now, at Sacrifice last weekend, Jay White defeated his former trainer, Alex Shelley, and this week, Shelley and Chris Sabin put down the challenge to Bullet Club's Jay White and Chris Bay, so they will meet on Impact Wrestling next week in tag team action. There was also some developments regarding Bullet Club on AEW Dynamite this week. Now, after former Bullet Club members Adam Cole and Hangman Page wrestled in the main event of AEW Revolution, with Hangman Page coming out successfully retaining his title, they then had a promo battle on AEW Dynamite this week where they agreed to a 6-man tag team match for next week. Hangman Page will team with the members of Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy, while Adam Cole teased that he would have the Young Bucks as his teammates for the match. However, later in the show, in a backstage segment, Matt Jackson told Adam Cole that they didn't want to face their former Bullet Club teammate, their former Elite teammate, Hangman Page. They were out. They didn't want any part of that match. So Adam Cole is going to team with Red Dragon in that match as well. So we know there's a long history between the Young Bucks and Hangman Page. It's gotten testy at times. Of course, there was a really big title match back a little while ago when Hangman Page and Kenny Omega were the AEW Tag Team Champions, and they defended those titles against the Young Bucks. However, lately it seems as though the Young Bucks are sort of interested in rekindling their friendship, their team with Hangman Page as well. So what role is Hangman Page going to have in the ongoing drama that involves the Elite and former Bullet Club members in AEW? Staying with All Elite Wrestling for a moment, their Dynamite this week from Fort Myers, Florida, had something of a night after WrestleMania feel, where numerous new storylines and angles took place, and there were 2 signings announced as well. Here are some of the highlights of what took place on Dynamite this week. Chris Jericho officially disbanded the Inner Circle in favor of a new faction featuring himself, 2.0, Daniel Garcia, and Jake Hager, known as the Jericho Appreciation Society. Also, former UFC fighter Paige Van Zant officially signed with the promotion and kickstarted a rivalry with Ty Conti after signing her AEW contract on the Brazilian wrestler's backside. Paige Van Zant is still under contract to the Bare Knuckled Fighting Championships, but that organization released a statement to MMA Fighting saying that them and AEW have agreed to work together regarding Paige Van Zant. Also on Dynamite this week, Scorpio Sky is the new TNT champion after he picked up a victory over Sammy Guevara in the night's main event. He's got a tough test ahead of him next week, however, as his first title defense will be up against Wardlow. Wardlow, of course, won the Grab the Brass Ring ladder match. Jeff Hardy made his AEW debut and joined Darby Allin and Sting in rescuing his brother Matt from an attack by Andrade El Idolo, the Butcher and the Blade, and Private Party. The Hardy Boys and Sting and Darby Allin then sort of eyed each other after, perhaps setting up a future match between the two teams. The Hardys are also scheduled for tonight's episode of Rampage, and also Matt Hardy has reportedly signed an extension with AEW that matches the length of his brother Jeff's new deal, so they would become free agents at the same time. Also on Dynamite this week, William Regal is now managing the newly formed team of Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. They defeated the Workhorsemen on this week's show. Thunder Rosa also defeated Layla Hirsch in a women's world title eliminator match. She'll now have a rematch against Baker next week in San Antonio. And since Baker needed outside interference to retain at Revolution, their match next week has been booked inside a steel cage. Speaking of Layla Hirsch, she released a statement online after receiving some criticism from some online trolls who were upset that she wore Russian colors during her match against Chris Statlander on the AEW Revolution buy-in show. So this is what Hirsch wrote in her statement. She said, "I want to make something very clear. I stand with Ukraine 100%, and my heart breaks for its citizens who are suffering at the hands of Vladimir Putin. I was born in Russia. I came to the US at 8 years of age and became an American citizen. I cannot change my heritage any more than any other citizen can change theirs. The mere fact that I was born in Russia does not mean that I support this brutal dictator. Everyone who would even suggest such a thing is simply wrong, plain and simple." WWE SmackDown tonight comes from the Legacy Arena in Birmingham, Alabama. 2 matches had been advertised for the show, however, only one is advertised now. Definitely taking part on the show is Ridge Holland and Sheamus taking on the New Day's Big E and Kofi Kingston. Previously announced for the show was Sasha Banks taking on Queen Zelina, however, that match is no longer being advertised on WWE.com, so I don't know. Then Rampage tonight was taped on Wednesday from the Hertz Arena in Fort Myers, Florida, and there are 4 matches scheduled for that show. Those include Mark Quinn from Private Party taking on Darby Allin, Mercedes Martinez taking on Jamie Hayter, QT Marshall will go one-on-one with Big Keith Lee, and Tony Nese will take on Swerve Strickland. That'll do it for this video, everyone. We release videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Subscribe to Spoiler Free Wrestling for all your wrestling news.